felt like PvP is the mirror matchup I gave very little attention to for a long time, and that's the PvP theme song right there, Maynard.
It is. It's just, I can picture a zealot with his tendrils flowing in the wind with the top down of his car, giant aviator sunglasses on, rolling down the strip in Miami or something like that. In the bottom, oh, the top right here, that's the opposite of what I just said. This is the Malaysian Protoss Ranger. Still got to see that new Top Gun.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, everyone that's seen it is like, it's the best. Go see it.
It's just a fun movie, you know. It's nothing crazy, right? It doesn't try to be anything crazy. I love a simple movie that doesn't try to be something it's not. And well, this man, he doesn't try to be anything except clinical in his games. In the bottom left, it is Dr. Protoss himself. It's TeebuL.
Surgery. One Protoss, as one caster said one time.
Heck yeah.
Probably a bit of a lag spike there for TeebuL. Talking about the server thing. But,
well, speaking of, I mean, we've got downtime, Maynard. Speaking of movies that don't try too hard to be anything else and are perfect exactly as they are, Pacific Rim.
Did you say Pacific Rim?
Yep, yay or nay? What are your thoughts?
Loved the first one. Huge
I didn't
fan
watch
of
the second one. I don't watch sequels, or if I do, I have zero expectations. So
it's safe to go into the second one with zero expectations. They took every character that you love in the first movie and said, nah.
Oh.
You know, the second one, I also watched it on the plane, which doesn't help. Pacific Rim 1, I saw it in the cinema. And, I mean, you see that kind of movie in the cinema, it ups it by a couple points.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll see if this one, you know, ends up being a disappointing sequel to TeebuL, who got the 3-0 last time, or will it be one, you know, there's that rare series where the sequel's better than the original. I think The Godfather was one of the first ones that did that. Terminator 2. Not that the first movie was bad, but the second one was legendary. And that pylon does finish up here, but losing the probe. So TeebuL not going to be able to go for the Cybercore block. Both players going for a Zealot. It's a good start for Ranger so far. He also has the pylon block up as well. So definitely feels nice for him. TeebuL's mined a lot more gas. He's going to go instantly for the Stargate.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. But with the one gate expands being a little bit more prevalent in this matchup, it's kind of nice to see PvP be a bit more of a question mark of the openers. You know, I came from you guys haven't seen me cast in a while, but I came from an era of 2-gate or die trying every PvP. And then I got really excited because there were people like Haas going Nexus first in PvPs on some maps. And then it was, you know, the one gate expands, that kind of thing. It felt like it started with the Taiwanese region, then started to trickle down into the other regions as well, became popular in Korea. And then, and now it's, you know, like you said, it's a matchup worth studying. There's a lot going on.
Oh, Ranger just built a pylon inside his base, dude.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This is something he's been doing recently. Super random. The Adept is in there. I think he might have another Adept coming across the map. So the pylon's a distraction. The Adept diving into the main base. No, it is actually going to take down the Zealot on the natural. Another Stalker will be hunting it down momentarily. That Adept's going to go down, but another Adept is about to shade on in. The shield battery isn't ready just yet. He comes in for another block, does TeebuL. Oh my god, neither player letting the other one expand, but the Stargate's finished. TeebuL can chrono out an Oracle, I believe, and that's going to actually, no. He cancelled his Stargate. Oh!
Oh, wow.
Okay, this game's getting really weird. They're both trying to play tricky, but I think at this point it's just whoever drops a Nexus and builds some probes first gets ahead. Ranger is still blocked, as is... Oh, sorry, TeebuL is still blocked. Ranger is not right now.
Ranger's looking all right. But yeah, that pylon's going to go down, but again, still has that extra supply to work with back at home. TeebuL's advantage, I suppose, is the faster trip to Twilight Councilville. So he's going to have earlier access to that big gateway power spike upgrade, which is going to be Blink here for TeebuL. So there is potential here in a couple minutes for him to have like that Blink Stalker Bowl to be annoying with before Ranger's any kind of threat on his side of the map.
And TeebuL's going to go all in here. The thing is he? Maybe he's got a lot of money still. I don't know. He's got 3 gateways coming up very early. Hiding the probe there. And he didn't want him to know that the probe was there. Didn't want to give away that he's going for the Nexus. The Adept immediately confirms though. So he is a Nexus slightly faster for Ranger, but the gateways and the Blink, as you said, are quicker for TeebuL. Both players seem focused on exactly the same sort of tech though. So I don't know if there's going to really be a window to do anything special. TeebuL does feel like he needs the Robo in case DTs come down. Ranger as well. They've both got very limited scouting in the aftermath of this chaotic early game.
Yeah, this has been a very wild game. I thought there was going to be a bit more of a careful start. Like, I know the one gate pylon block is pretty par for the course in PvP these days, but the explosion into just weird action and canceling and changing, it felt like they were playing freestyle jazz for a second there the first few minutes of this game.
I do think a double Oracle actually would have been really solid for TeebuL though. I think maybe mind gaming himself out of that when it actually would have been great. Of course, at the moment, so many people are countering Oracles with Phoenix if they see you going for it. So people don't want to be like, oh, I built an Oracle, fly it in, and Phoenix kills it. And it's like, oh, that sucks. So there's a lot of like canceling Stargates and, oh, I'll go, let's get stuck in a Phoenix War. But then a lot of players don't like the Phoenix War, so they're trying to do fancy things to avoid it. PvP meta's been in a bit of flux. It's very interesting to see the flavors the players bring. Blink is here now, but it's only a few seconds behind for Ranger. Ranger's have a couple probes as well. So overall, things look okay for Ranger. But, Blink Stalker fight, it can really spiral very quickly for either side, and TeebuL's moving across the map.
Yeah, definitely a lot more units here for TeebuL than what Ranger has right now. Yeah, that army of TeebuL, all of it, is that army supply of 23 supplies going across the map at the moment. Catches the probe, kills the pylon as well, so no presence for Ranger on this side of the map for TeebuL. And Ranger's going to lock things down. He's got to respect the fact that there could be an attack any second here.
Yeah, which is scary because he's supply blocked right now because he was expecting that pylon to be finishing. He started a new one, but of course that comes down with a delay. And as a result, Ranger, 38 probes, TeebuL, 38 probes. TeebuL does take the worker lead now. Ranger's army supply will catch up shortly. The Adept here denying that third base very nicely and does force Ranger to send a new probe out there to take that. TeebuL taking a third at a very similar timing. TeebuL is up a few workers, as we pointed out. But the Nexus once again starts earlier for Ranger, as does the Forge. If we could see the unit count, I'd love to see the Stalker differential. It feels like TeebuL's still got quite a lot more. Oh my god!
Yeah, double the account there, so 16 to 8.
This could just be a game win. He just blinks in that main. I mean, he could start one-shotting Stalkers so quick.
Yeah, they have the deeps as long as he can get that target fire. Hallucinated Phoenix is continuing getting continuously. There we go, third time's the charm. Being sent to the main base there for Ranger to keep an eye on things. A little bit of scuffle at the front there. Again, TeebuL with way more firepower. Ranger starting to catch up a little bit with Stalkers as he warps in 2x2.
TeebuL looks a little scared, a little cautious.
Indecisive.
He's still warping in Stalkers non-stop, so he kind of like, I feel like his decision-making's made for him. I feel like he has to go here. Ranger doesn't seem to realize the deficit he's in on the army. And he's like, oh yeah, make an Immortal, warping a couple of Stalkers, get a battery up. And if he gets away with getting the battery up on the third and the natural and an Immortal out, I think the window has gone by. So, I mean, it's easy for us to say this, but of course, TeebuL didn't have the information we had, right? His Observer went in, sees a few Stalkers that try to snipe his Observer, quickly pulls it back, doesn't get to really confirm. And now it feels like Ranger slips by what could have been instant death, has a faster upgrade, has a faster third, about even on workers, slightly behind technically, but definitely looks like a game that could still go either way.
All right. Yeah, a very small lull in the action here as both players are just sort of going on their side of the maps and taking it easy. We got Pylon getting caught there on the left side for Ranger, who's patrolling his Stalkers around the place. Look, on the right side, he's doing the same thing with another unit. Just trying to keep as much of the map controlled as possible. He knows that TeebuL is the kind of guy that will hide tech out in the map any moment. It feels like TeebuL is, kind of like the Zest of yesteryear, when Zest really had a penchant for the Dark Shrine. You know what I mean? He just loved the invisible men with capes, and TeebuL's, that's his spirit animal right there, the Dark Templar.
Good blink back, doesn't lose a Stalker. Clearing up a Pylon on the left side as well. TeebuL's chasing him though, might grab a Stalker there, good blink. Okay, Robo Bay goes down for Ranger. That's a pretty quick Robo Bay in this scenario. TeebuL's just building a Meteor army and maintaining a supply advantage as well, so Ranger's going to go for the big old disruptors while dodging those very scary when you've got a bit of latency. That is it, man. You're playing the rest of Asia region from the UK. That's always something that TeebuL kind of accepts, but a disruptor war can be very painful.
That it can. Yeah, that's when micro definitely plays in, and ping matters a lot. So that's a good choice for sure. TeebuL trying to do the same thing on his side, of course. It is that phase of the game where we're heading towards the kill blow. Like, what are we going to round out? What are our comps going to look like? And it looks like it is going to be disruptors for both players. Switching a charge for Ranger and the Dark Shrine as well to throw in the Archons. And TeebuL still, I think, just Blink. Going to go just Blink Disruptor, I think.
Fourth Nexus starting for Ranger there. Feels like this could explode at any point, but both players playing very cautiously so far. Gets a Stalker. Not bad. And the supply advantage is still there for TeebuL, who's really heavy on the 3-base. Giant Blink Stalker army. But the Observer does get some nice vision there for Ranger. Sees where this army's moving. Will lose a couple Zealots.
Zealots, of course, not the end of the world. Especially with the Immortals here. Ranger definitely does not want to fight this army.
Yeah, the Stalkers can get shredded if those Immortals land hits on him. Disruptors, though, do find very easy hits on Immortals and Archons. It's the Stalkers and Zealots that are a bit more evasive. Second Robo going down for TeebuL, his own 4th Nexus. A little behind, but I don't know. He's maintained a supply advantage, almost purely an army for a very long time. Part of me wonders if he should have struck already and really made a big play, but I don't think he's necessarily like falling behind by not killing Ranger. Like he's maintaining his worker lead. It feels like Ranger's expanded earlier than him all game, but has then been too afraid to really capitalize on it, right? Like the Nexus is up, but he's not building probes. And that's been kind of the case because both players aren't sure when the other's going to strike.
Yeah. And as a result, like this game has been very much kind of what I expected, with both players feeling each other out and just sort of being careful. That's taking a little bit to get to that phase. Ranger, again, still just trying to be as active, clearing up pieces of TeebuL as possible. And that Observer sees that DT, right?
Yeah. I think he's just focusing on this right side for now. Maybe doesn't want to Ranger to realize that he sees it, so he can set a trap for him, right? And he's like, hey, bring 10 DTs over here. I'll be ready. Oh, and he blinks out there, but Ranger's nearby. Watch out.
And Ranger actually has the numbers here on the left flank. Disruptor's coming on for a walk as well. This is a very committed attack from Ranger. That's very, very scary. TeebuL on the other side of the map.
Okay, that's not many Stalkers. He's got to shove in. TeebuL's going to go for a sort of base trade maneuver here. Oh, Ranger's being a bit too cautious. He doesn't seem to realize what's happening. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a big problem for Ranger right now. Yeah, he needed to shove in there early. Whoever pushes more... Oh, dude, whoever pushes more decisively always gets ahead here, because if they chase into disruptor shots, obviously that never goes well for the person chasing. So, I mean, just great moves. He does throw that a little early, though.
That would have been game-winning if he got rid of those disruptors of Ranger, and then he could just get the rest of gunned down with superior firepower. Does have the Immortals as Ranger is trying to cut off the retreat here of the Stalkers. Actually, Ranger, if he can get into this fight soon. Oh,
it's a trap! It's a trap, Maynard!
The Hunter has become the Hunter. The Disruptors get target fired. One Disruption Nova connects. Does all right there. Gets one Disruptor with a Nova on the left side. Oh man, this fight is very, very dirty, but it looks like in the end, TeebuL taking a just gargantuan lead here and gonna capitalize by finishing off what remains of Ranger on the front doorstep.
Beautiful surround there by TeebuL. I like the way Ranger tried to cut him off in the retreat. Bit of a dangerous move, and TeebuL just turned around and started crushing 1/3 of his army. Ranger turns around, doesn't realize he stepped into an encirclement, and he's just completely overrun here. Disruptor shots trying to save the day! Oh my god!
Not bloody bad. Plenty of explosions. And the Immortals are dying, and again, TeebuL maintaining about a 50 supply lead here and continuing to chokehold Ranger, who is bleeding probes that are still long distance mining down here to the 3rd base, or rather the 4th base. Good Nova again.
Yeah, these are big hits for TeebuL. He's up 50 supply right now. Somehow only up 10 probes, but having killed the 4th base and having position on the natural is huge. Needing a few more of those giant disruptor shots is Ranger, unable to get them. And that's going to be that, Maynard.
Tis. And that's going to be it for game 1. TeebuL taking the lead there against Ranger. And yeah, again, like, didn't seem like Macro played too much of a factor there for that particular game.
I mean, there was that one blink towards the end where he blinked a bit late because the disruptor hit, but definitely the game was already well in his hand by that point. So yeah, TeebuL looking really tight on his play, and a crazy early game. Ranger building a pylon in the main, trying to shade the Adepts in, but TeebuL handled things very calmly. Even though we kind of got caught out on the Stargate cancel, looked very solid.
Yeah, certainly did. Very, very keen to see them face off again now that they've got to feel each other out in game 1, their first series in quite a while. We're going to take a short break when we return, and it's going to be TeebuL versus Ranger game 2. So do not go away. We'll see you for more PvP action satisfaction very soon. G'day StarCraft fans and welcome back to the DreamHack Masters main event here for the Oceania and Rest of Asia region. I am Maynard, with me is Pig, and you are watching a PvP between two Rest of Asia representatives, Ranger and TeebuL, going off against each other. Two aggressive Protosses in a very cheeky, backstabby matchup. And it seems like TeebuL managing to get the dub so far with a game that started off weird, but started to normalize towards the middle.
I like the way TeebuL shows killer instinct. He's like, hey, you're poking that base, bit of a weird position. I'm just going to dive. He's like, I know I can defend with my Disruptor Rally, and I want to get into your base and just move in and force a bad position on you. Because I don't want to be in just a slow back and forth Disruptor war and let you have the momentum on my side of the map. He was very calm and quick to just move across the map, and it was Ranger who showed a little bit of hesitancy moving in there. So I think the moment the observer saw those Stalkers coming to the left side, he just moved across the map, marched right over there, and made a day of it. So a very good way to capitalize on that and get the victory in a game which had a chaotic early game, but a rather standoffish mid game. Both players afraid to really push into the other. TeebuL, it looked like maybe missed one or two opportunities to win the game, but in the end, it didn't really affect him. You know, it made sense for Ranger to be as defensive as he was, but interesting that he was so patient, TeebuL.
Yeah, he had that massive Stalker advantage. Certainly, if he had all the information that we had, maybe it would have gone for the throat a little bit more. But you know, it paid off for him in the end. A winner's a win, as they say. And the countdown has ended for map number 2. So we're getting into the video game very, very shortly. Can Ranger, the Malaysian Protoss, tie things up here with our Pakistani/UK representative in TeebuL? Again, ping is a factor here. Malaysia, as Pig mentioned, a footy kick away from the servers in Singapore. And TeebuL very, very far away. So he's having the ping disadvantage. This is, of course, the Malaysian representative here, currently down the series from M8 Hexa. This is Ranger.
And his opponent in the right side of the map, representing Pakistan, he is an absolute monster. It's Dr. Protoss. It's TeebuL.
My first game for the season on Data C.
Data.
And
Data C. That is apparently what the map maker intended there.
Under the sea, Data C.
Yeah.
Really? Oh boy.
Yeah, a little bit of a Little Mermaid reference
The Super
there.
Women made this one.
I always get my map makers confused. I'm so bad.
You know what? You continue to cast, and I'll do the unprofessional thing and check.
Hey, the unprofessional thing, giving credit to the map makers that put hours, countless hours of their time,
Killer
passion
Smile
to it. That's it.
I actually don't know Killer Smile very well at all. Very cool though. Excellent.
But yeah, I mean, we are on the bottom of the ocean floor on this map. There's fish, there's space sharks somewhere.
Every map pool, every season needs an underwater map now. Ever since Bissell Reef.
Absolutely.
Ever since Bissell Reef. It's
all right,
necessary.
we finally got it with what, 2K atmospheres, now with data.
Yep.
It's like, come on, man. It's so fun. I mean, there's just something about seeing bodies flying everywhere and floating up. There's fish and coral and everything. It's great. There's little beetle crabs on this map. They are fantastic.
What the heck's that? Never seen that before.
I
Excellent.
think it's the crab beetle that has the tooltip as well. That's like has bitey claws or something like that. I don't know. It's some of the critters have some interesting names on them.
Adorable. Both players being pretty vigilant with their probes here. We do have a pylon in the middle of the map from TeebuL.
Yeah, and is this a very quick nexus here for Ranger? Ranger's like, oh, what are you up to, man? He's making an Adept and a shield battery. Do we go Stargate here as Ranger? He does. So Ranger's going to go very early Nexus Adept into Stargate. TeebuL's going for a Stargate off of his 2-gate Stalker opening. So seems like TeebuL does just want to macro up. It's a lot more common at the moment for people to kind of fake that pylon out. You see the way TeebuL hit his second pylon on the map. He knows that Ranger's going to be paranoid. So he's like, look, if I can just deny your scouting with a couple Stalkers, I can expand behind this and do quite well. That's normally what you'd expect here, but he keeps building Stalkers. He hasn't added the probe. Nexus isn't down yet. I'm starting to wonder what TeebuL has in store for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, Stargate's about to finish, and we'll get a better idea as we see what units pop out here and what they do with the next bit of mineral bank. We still have a bit of a mineral bank here for TeebuL. Okay, Oracle looks like an expand.
Yeah. Okay, so he's going to expand right now. If the Adept can confirm, that'll be good. He's got to snipe that Adept. If he gets rid of the Adept before it sees the Nexus, that's huge. He's looking to sell the story. The probe hides behind the natural. He's like, oh, yes, I am completely all in. Be afraid, Ranger. And then goes for the Nexus. Thing is, it's such a late Nexus. He's already down a few probes. Ranger's adding probes in the midst of this, which is super ballsy. He's saying, well, that's fine. I'm just going to defend with a full wall and a Void Ray for now. Does have to worry about the Oracle in the main, but I think Ranger might have a shield battery in his main base.
Oh, I mean, he's about to have one. Oh, no, it's not in his main. No, it's in the natural.
No. Okay, there we go. That'll be fine then. Yeah, okay. Ranger's actually really well set up. I think if he can get the information, that'd be great. He has no way of getting information anymore. So the problem is that Ranger's not probing. This gives TeebuL a big opportunity to probe up and get back in this game. Right now, TeebuL's Oracle coming in, does get in there before the battery is ready, and this is massive for him. Immediately, Ranger powers up the probe production, realizing, you tricked me. If you're going Oracle, there's no way this is an all-in build order. You must have just gone for the expansion after killing my scouts. So Ranger, he's still not in a bad position, but he's a bit behind on the tech because Void Rays don't scale well, and Robotech is not as good as having Twilight Tech up early. So Ranger's going to be forced to be a lot more defensive. He's just going to use this kind of budget harassment, the double adept, to see if he can find something.
And meanwhile, we've got this much scarier harassment here in the double Oracle, which will be one-shotting probes. Only one Void Ray and a Stalker or here and there to worry about. Speaking of which, Stalker's coming in for Ranger. Try and shoo them away, which they do very nicely.
Yeah, they're just having a bit of a perv on each other, using the Revelation spell to make sure they aren't able to sneak into the mineral line. Oh, Void Ray does a lot of damage. You got to be careful there.
Nice.
TeebuL is taking the worst end of that. These Adept shading maybe a little bit early, but they could still do massive damage. There's nothing at home.
Oh, yeah.
Stalkers warp in instantly, though. That's the beginnings of something.
He's pull those probes, loses one there, nearly loses a second. The Adepts are
probe
probably going to
pull.
get a couple probes, and then we'll have to shade out of here. Otherwise, they're dead. Oh, into the main. Okay. So these
Oracles.
are on a one-way trip.
Yeah, only going to get 3 probes and a bit of mining time. That's not too bad, though. Lots of mining time, of course. It's definitely worth. Ranger's rebuilding his Cybercore, so I guess he's killed his Cybercore to break out of his wall off. Yep. So not a bad way to do it. He's going to take it the quicker third Nexus. He's only got a single Oracle. There's still 2 Oracles. So you got to leave the Void Ray defending the main, I would say, and a few Stalkers on the natural. Otherwise, if you're not there for even a moment, the Oracles will come in and one-shot all of your probes.
Yeah. So single Oracle, again, not that big of a deal. The shield battery will mitigate a lot of the damage, so he's going to go for the Stasis Ward instead. And he catches 2 probes, the gas probes.
Not too bad. And looks like, yeah, the Void Ray's hanging out there, but the Oracle gets right on by. 2 Stalkers, though. Oh, it's kind of a trap. So if they go past the Oracles, the Void Ray can cut off the retreat. Very clever positioning by Ranger.
Yeah, trying to ensnare these 2 Oracles and take them off the board completely. Dark Shrine coming down here for TeebuL. Definitely his tech of choice in a lot of his games and a lot of his series, a lot of these seasons. We'll see what the Invisible Men can get done here. Obviously, no Prism, no Robo, nothing like that. So it's just the Invisible Men.
Oh,
Catch.
Almost. Is there an Observer for Ranger on the map? Because he has a Robo up.
He does have one, and it's going across the map. Ruh-roh.
I think it's okay. The DTs aren't here yet, but Stalker's going to get some damage done on the Nexus. Quick response for Ranger, though. He's all over it. Keeps it alive for now. He's up 4 workers. He's well ahead on this Nexus.
All right, sees the
Things
DTs,
are looking good.
and he recalls.
Very well done.
Good catch for Ranger. So the DTs shouldn't be too effective here.
There's an Oracle, I think, in TeebuL's main base right now. Don't know if it got anything.
Stasis Ward. Oh my god. Huge Stasis Ward on the
Speaking of huge stasis traps, careful, mate.
He's got the Observer here, and he takes it down. How are those DTs going? It looks like they're about to hit the natural.
Yep, they are. The Observer shuffles back.
Great defense from Ranger.
Oh, very nicely done. Oh, the Stalkers do need to blink after it. Distracted over at the third, which means the DT slips by. But he notices. Good awareness by Ranger. DT gets at most 2 probes here, I'd say. It's not even being microed for a moment there, so it's just hitting Stalkers.
Guys,
dude, Ranger's way ahead now. Kills a few DTs. Another stasis trap going down. Even though this one's just mining time, good response by TeebuL. This is still rough for him. Ranger is all over it. His Gateway Explosion beginning. He's going to be far ahead on that production. And these stasis traps not finding the big money hits that he was looking for.
Yeah. A Stasis Ward being a winning move from TeebuL in his series against Razza. Ranger showing him a little bit of how it's done here in this PvP. Gonna get that pylon of TeebuL off in the middle of the map. Yeah, Ranger with enough confidence to finally move out and see what he can get done on TeebuL's side of the map. Ranger's been the defender for the last 8.5 minutes.
Void Ray is not a bad unit in the back of your fight. It's just not very agile compared to the Blink Stalkers, so you'd have to be careful. Stasis traps everywhere in this game for TeebuL. And good Blink micro by Ranger, dodges a volley there.
Yeah, overcharged Void Ray kind of makes things tough when you math it out. You look at those units, you're like, oh, I think I can win this fight, and then the Void Ray shows up with this overcharged beam, doesn't get focused down.
TeebuL wants that Observer kill. And he will be able to get it there before disengaging. Gets the Void Ray as well. Very nice.
Like, Ranger having a tough time capitalizing on this attack, though. Like, kind of went TeebuL's way. He even goes for the aggressive Blink chase in the middle. Very decisive from TeebuL.
This was not meant to be a committed attack for Ranger. He was actually waiting for the fourth base, and he's got charge, and all the gateways came up behind it. So it was only meant to be a pressure. So, I mean, that looked scary, but TeebuL had just this amazing game sense. The ability to go, you're a little low on units. It just jumps on it, gets a really good trade. So, like, Ranger was kind of, posturing up and acting scary, gets punished for it. TeebuL now, he's only down 10 supply. He does start his own fourth base. And, nice snipe on the Oracle there by Ranger.
Another piece to take it down. Ranger really starting to find his footing a little bit in this game. Battle over the watchtower here. I try to blink in between the Stalker shots, but it looks like Ranger's going to get the end of that one.
Double Robo Bay transition for Ranger. Wants to get the Disruptors. Meanwhile, Mass Gateway for TeebuL. So it looks like it's going to be Mass Stalker Zealot. Just overwhelming numbers for the blue Protoss. Red Protoss adding the big splash damage. Now, if the blue Protoss, the guy going Gateway units is a bit ahead, totally swarm over them. Couple Disruptors ain't going to change that, right? But in a scenario where it's actually the Disruptor player who's already got more army supply going into that situation, it's very hard, because how do you hang on once those Disruptors are sieging you and he's already got more Stalker Zealot than you do? It's an awkward situation. On the other hand, TeebuL has the worker advantage, so he's up in that. Trying to catch up on the upgrade, so he's about a full half upgrade behind. And here comes Ranger wanting to put on that aggression. His Robo production is on the way. Just Stalker Zealot for now, but he wants to go.
The Stalkers and the Zealots really kind of complicate things here. It is just Stalkers for TeebuL. He warps in some Zealots defensively. Cannon's helping out, but the overcharge Shield Barrier maybe a little bit early there. Doesn't get the full benefit of that spell, but in comes Ranger with the rest of his units. The Immortal in range of the defensive line. And this attack from Ranger's not looking bad.
No, not at all. The Zealots coming in. The Immortal Stasis Trap traps a couple of Zealots. The Immortal is getting heavily damaged here as well, but 15 probes have already fallen, capitalizing the position very well. DT's warped in to save the day. Of course, the Observer Snipes did go down well for TeebuL, but Disruptors are here as well. Uh-oh.
Blink not quite off cooldown there for TeebuL, maybe just didn't see, and the Stalkers get bombed. Zealot's coming in for another round two, not too effective though. Ranger still just trying to shave off whatever he can from TeebuL's army. Does not have detection for those DTs. Nova connecting on another Stalker takes that down. Needs detection to make sure these DTs are not a problem, but even just swarming charge lots might be a winning play here for Ranger. DTs are great, but this large ball of charge lots is something that TeebuL really can't handle. He might want a couple Archons here.
Yeah, he's at half the army supply. I mean, TeebuL's only got the dregs of a real army. He's not going to get a chance to add those Archons. They're so necessary right now. But of course, just look at that swarm from Ranger. He's played an excellent game this time around. Zealot flank, not bad for TeebuL, but the Stalkers do blink away. Disruptor shot comes forward. Perfectly placed to get two Zealots without friendly firing.
Beautiful from Ranger. That's going to be game for Ranger here. He really cannot fail at this point, and TeebuL knows it. Drops the GGG. Good game gaming from Ranger as he ties up the series one apiece.
Great defense of the Oracles. The Adepts sneaking in as well and getting some damage was fantastic. Ranger gets himself to a lead, defends the third, defends the Dark Templar and the fancy Stasis Trap pressure at the same time. A situation where a lot of players would have been distracted by the DTs and run into the Stasis, or vice versa, let the DT in the main undefended. Ranger's on top of it. He's tied up the series now. He got to play a bit more of a better game for himself there. I think what I'm impressed by is his confidence with his opening, going for such a quick Nexus, right? Just chronoing out an Adept and saying, yeah, my Stargate's not the absolute fastest, but that's okay. I'll full wall with 2 gateways. We'll get a shield battery or 2, and I'll just kind of play it out from there. A lot of players, when they don't see that second pylon, they massively overreact, but he had a really good read of the situation.
Yeah, he certainly did. It felt like Ranger got to play his game there. You know, he had a plan, he stuck to it, and sometimes you play that kind of StarCraft game where everything that you want to have happen happens. You know, there was a couple moments there for Ranger where if we want to be really nitpicky, maybe a little bit of an overextension, maybe you lost a couple of units you didn't have to. But other than that, that was super clean. Like, I was so impressed with Ranger in that game. And if he can do that again, he's not only very likely going to win this series, but I see him easily getting deep in that top 4 in the next few days as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a very important match to see who's gonna be smashing face, essentially. So, yeah, it's always cool to see because often someone wins in the group stage and then it's a bit of a reversal and a change up once we get into the final bracket. Other times it is like, okay, you know, they dominate one and then it's just another domination in the final bracket as well. But already we've seen a close match between these two fighting for that first place spot.
Oh, and we have some replays here from Game 2 on Data C. See the Oracle opener here from TeebuL. Got a little bit of damage done, but this defense from Ranger was just beautiful. Textbook. He shut down every single bit of damage that DTs can do, and they are an expensive 3-digit gas unit coming in here. And so defensively, Ranger doing great work. And then about 8.5 minutes on in, Ranger finally going for an attack. And that one, again, you know, that was probably the one moment where I felt like Ranger was a little bit cavalier, lost a little bit too much. And this is where things started to snowball for the Malaysian. TeebuL getting pushed back against this Nexus. And the charge loss and the Immortals in the back line of Ranger doing a ton of work from here against this Blink Stalker heavy army from TeebuL.
Indeed, this was a very nice push, super decisive. DT to try and disrupt a Den +2 attack. On the way behind it, didn't feel he needed to wait for it though, and he was absolutely right. Why wait for +2 when you see you've got that numbers advantage, that big gateway explosion, allow the Zealots to swarm on in, and a few very nicely placed disruptor, you know, shots.
Yeah,
just
thread the needle here. Watch this.
Cherry on top of the cake as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, he didn't need to do this fancy stuff.
Top, a little bit over here.
Oh yeah.
Kill one Zealot, kill 4 Stalkers, it's fine.
Beautiful play from Ranger. Really representing Malaysia very well and looking good there. Final map in this series is going to be interesting to see how it plays out because yeah, so far we've seen TeebuL. He played a bit of a defensive mind game in that one, right? Where he's like, pretend to be aggressive, pretend with the hidden pylon, and then just macro up and just go for some oracles, expand. Real, just kind of chilled out regular play. Something which, you know, we do see from a few Protoss players out there. Whereas Ranger went more for the meta build of the 1-gate expand, and with the Adept and the Probe Scout coming across, invested a lot in scouting, didn't see that the Nexus was down with it, still played it out and got in a good position. That tells us Ranger's really switched on.
Yeah, and hopefully that momentum carries on to the third map, which is just going to be a few seconds away here. What is the third map again? Well, it wasn't Inside Out, it was...
No, I wish I could tell you, mate, but I have forgotten. I was trying to remember before, and then I was kind of umming and ahhing a little bit.
That's right. You know what? We'll just wait for the countdown, shall we? We'll just see the map together. Cosmic Sapphire.
Ah, okay, Cosmic. All right, cool. Nice big map there. Nice big map. Awesome. Definitely something to watch out for is the gold base. So we might see a 2-gate opening into a gold base attempt. If one player plays 1-gate expand, 2-gate being like, ooh, I'm being aggressive, kind of like what TeebuL tried to do, but actually taking the gold is huge. Ranger utilized that to great effect last season on the big gold base map that we had last season, you know? Yeah, that one. That's right. I forget maps instantly when they go out of the map pool, apparently.
Yeah. I have this window of darkness where I don't remember any maps, and then I remember like all of the maps from like Heart of the Swarm back to like, the beginning of Louis Ludi. There's just there's, for some reason, just a giant hole in my memory of map seasons that I just haven't been able to keep up with.
Like Proxima Station, I don't know. It's like
Proxima, that was a 2015.
Yeah, I'm like and obviously Daybreak, Overgrowth, Ohana. Thank you, Mr. Bitter, for that one. You know, there's a few maps which we will never forget, but yeah, sometimes I just completely instantly forget the name of one, even though it was a my last season.
Year Zero is one I'm going to always remember from
the one with Amon on the side of the map.
Satan.
That guy had bigger dreadlocks on his beard than you, mate.
That's right. Yeah, it's not easy to do, mind you. I've had dreadlocks for 11 years.
Yeah, beard locks is hard, man.
Beard locks, I've never tried, but you know, never say never. The beard keeps growing back every time I trim it. Who knows? In the top left here, not represented by anyone except for himself. It is Dr. TeebuL. The Doctor is in.
Going for the high ground gate again. Looks like he wants to favor that 2-gate opening, most likely. Same for his opponent down here in the bottom right side of the map. The red Protoss player hailing from Malaysia, representing M8 Hexa. It is Ranger.
I'm so happy that 12 years after its relevance, esports continues to keep dubstep alive.
It never went out, Maynard. It's the best genre of music in the world.
Are you telling me that my Spotify playlist of 900 hours of Skrillex is out of date?
Dude, I could, man, I wish what was that website we used to all Groove Shark? I wish Groove Shark was still around so I could see all those playlists I used to listen to back then, man.
Dude, that's outdated. I'm on Pandora.
Wait, you still listen to Pandora?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god, I was like, damn, does that still exist?
No, I don't. Maybe. I have no idea.
Pandora was great at the time. It was like internet radio. It just randomly finds other related songs and artists with the algorithm. This is amazing.
It's Spotify all day, every day for me at the moment. I'm just a Bluetooth Spotify king. It's logged on to something at some point, playing music all the time, or a podcast actually. Podcast on Spotify as well.
Indeed, me too, mate. Me too. Well, Hidden Pylon versus Hidden Pylon so far, so they're both playing the same trick that TeebuL played last game. Double Adept for Ranger, Sentry, Stalker for TeebuL. TeebuL wants to lock things down, play a slow game. Ranger is going to wall him out of scouting, drop a Stargate here, and he's going to go Oracle and Adept is what I would guess. Yep, Stargate does go down. So a real harassment focused style for Ranger. If TeebuL were to do something like a 6 or an 8 Stalker pressure versus him in this game, probably smash him. But it is Stalker Sentry. He's getting a 3rd and 4th Stalker, so still could be something aggressive from TeebuL. He loses his probe, sees the 2 Adepts, and up to TeebuL. Nexus, I think, is probably going to be his choice.
He just spent the money. Yeah. We're still getting the Stalkers 2x2, so we'll keep an eye on it. And there's the Nexus, yep. So every time I see a Sentry, I just assume Nexus.
Yeah, I almost think that's like the thing, that the low-key, underutilized thing is build a Sentry, then all in, because it just telegraphs that you're expanding. You're like, I want to scout a lot with hallucinations this game. You're like, it's a joke. There used to actually be an expand into 3-gate Sentry Stalker push that I think it was Petit Drogo did in this matchup. And because the opponent would always be like cutting corners on their unit production, you'd actually hit their natural and be able to like trap all their Stalkers and kill them with force fields and do a bunch of probe damage.
It's a solid bamboozle.
Yeah, people were like, oh, 3 sentries, that can't attack me. And it was like, no, yeah, it can.
Oh, yeah. They have an attack. They can force field.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Adepts getting caught. Great catch for TeebuL. Of course, it's just 1 Stalker for now. 2 Adepts do beat 1 Stalker.
Yeah, it's a really exciting fight, by the way, watching 2
Oh,
Adepts
yeah,
fight 1
man.
Stalker.
Dude, yeah, it's like, what can I say? Adepts versus Marauders as well. Very exciting.
I boiled a pot of rice with dinner tonight. That was probably as riveting to watch fight against the temperature of the water.
Didn't even use the rice cooker.
Killed the Sentry with the Oracle there.
That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Gets a probe as well, and it's like, dude, there's a shield battery. TeebuL's like prepared for it. Just a little out of position with 2 of those units, so find some nice damage. Ranger's going Robo behind it. His Nexus is up, dead even on the workers, but he's got the Oracle out. And I was about to say, not much for TeebuL to answer it with. But once again, the budget harassment that always finds damage, man. It always finds something.
Yeah, that Oracle. She's been a pain forever, that unit.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay,
No,
quick reaction.
for the wall in.
He'll be okay. Stalkers are close behind. He'll lose probably 4 probes here, I would say. Let's see how good TeebuL's micro is. He's going to get 2, 3, and he's going to get actually 4. Not quite able to get number 5. Very close.
And the Stalker's defending here, but some counter damage from Ranger as he gets into his tour of the mineral line. Looks like TeebuL not respecting his defense as much as Ranger has. And he's losing a few more here. That's going to be a 6 probe. Good
TeebuL
night.
didn't focus fire, otherwise that should have only been 4 probes. But the Adepts kind of shuffled past, so the Stalkers automatically just changed targets to the one that was in front. Twilight Council is on the way, as well as another gas for Ranger, so he's going to tech on up to Blink a lot later, but still something he can go for. I wouldn't mind him trying to squeeze a Prism out and sneaking 2 Adepts into the main of Ranger. It'll be very late in the game, though, so he does just opt for the Immortals. TeebuL going for the 3rd Nexus. Oracle's going to try and stasis trap. That is not going to go well for him.
Yeah, there's, I think about Infinity Stalkers. I counted them real quick. And that Oracle does have space in the map. Again, like the dead space behind the main seems to be a pretty common trait for all these maps these days. Can always hide a flying unit back there.
Yeah. 2 more gateways on the way for Ranger. We're going to see a Warp Prism, aren't we? About to be a Warp Prism in that production queue. He's about to go, eh?
I think so. TeebuL does have a considerable force at home, but oh, come on.
Has he? I guess he doesn't know about the third. Ranger misreading this a little bit. He doesn't know about his opponent's third. He drops his own third. He hasn't seen how early that is. I think he just saw the Stalker count and was scared with the Oracle. That's why he's going 4 gateways, blink, sentries, and an immortal, all before expanding to his third base. That allows TeebuL a little bit more room to recover his economy, get back on up there, add his own robo tech. Forge still goes down earlier for Ranger, and the army supply is very similar, but definitely some good hiding of the information for TeebuL.
Oracle coming in, going to get a couple more probes, maybe even a third before it dies. And there it goes. I mean, it does get rid of it, which is nice, but there we go. Confirms now the third Nexus with the hallucinated Phoenix. Might get a look at the tech of the main as well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, at this stage, I think both of them are going for detection, so neither side's worried about Dark Templar. Makes perfect sense for them to just focus on the upgrades. TeebuL has not gone for the Forge. Yeah, there we go. It finally goes down for him. But he's way behind on those upgrades. He's up on workers, though. Much, similar to the last game. At one point, he was way behind on the upgrades. Ranger can definitely continue this, but his immortal production is so high. I do wonder. Yeah, is Ranger going to think about hitting a timing? Because if you build too many immortals and sentries, and then they make it to Zealot Archon, force fields are worthless. Immortals aren't great if they're Zealots in the enemy army. It feels like the army of Ranger, while very good right now, does have an expiry date. Whereas those Stalkers are always a good, nimble, flexible unit. TeebuL's transitioning up into charge. Good push timing for Ranger, though. Right now, the gateways aren't done. There's an army supply advantage for Ranger of almost 10. The sentries and the immortals will be good. The prism's on the way as well. This is a killer timing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds here. TeebuL not super aware of the dangers within, but gonna get a couple of adepts to distract him there in the natural. Ranger gonna find more probe damage, splitting TeebuL's attention as well. Third base is gonna be where the action is.
Yeah, the adept's gonna shade on into the main base. Already 2 worker kills, not bad. Just being a nuisance, forcing Stalker whoop-ins there. Nice force fields to buy a moment of time, but TeebuL looking very comfortable and confident. Ranger a little cautious to get his army split up in a bad position on these ramps. He can move up there now.
He's going to try. He's got that different angle. Bit more surface area here. Doesn't have to worry about the destructible debris and the gap being force fielded. He's trying to make himself a concave. Hold positioning here. Trying to keep those immortals in the fight as well. Good force fields from Ranger. Trying to split TeebuL's army up and taking it apart piece by piece.
Yeah, this is really good micro. Keeping him away from the battery overcharge, so TeebuL can't really use that. Ranger, he's got a very scary army. Those immortals are just frightening. TeebuL, he's on the cusp of getting broken here. He needed another minute to get into charge zealots, but he's not being given that time. Ranger senses that this is his moment, but he does lose an immortal. TeebuL sniping down the other immortal as well. Yeah. Can he hold?
Oh, it's going to be a pretty hard call here. He's pulled a lot of probes. I mean, even if he does hold, can he recover from this damage? 26 probes have died, and Ranger's still continuing to warp in. I like the addition of the extra slow Zealots as well, just to mess with the AI of the auto fire there from the Stalkers, hitting Zealots, not hitting the Stalkers, and Ranger manages to steamroll the third base, gets himself the W, coming down from a 1-map deficit, winning 2 maps in a row, getting the 2-1 victory there over TeebuL.